Joining us now is Rush Holt, Democratic Congressman from New Jersey. He also has a PhD in physics and is the author of papers on magnetic fusion and calcium absorption lines, and also one on why we should value science education. Congressman Holt, thank you so much for stopping by.
Ezra, good to be with you.
Republicans used to support stronger regulation of greenhouse gases. The idea for cap and trade, actually, for a market that would cut emissions, was a Republican idea in the first place. It was in John McCain's 2008 platform, and he was also the first to introduce it in the Senate. Now the favorite term for it in Republican circles is cap and tax. When even Republican policies become anathema to conservatives, how do you forge a compromise in Congress?
Well, when you change the very language, as you're describing now, it leads to really disinformation and challenges the whole basis for debate. And clearly that's what they're trying to do. These are powerful interests, energy interests, that don't want the facts about climate change to be out there. They don't even want the term climate change to be out there. There's no question the sea level is rising. Even if there's no melting of glaciers because of the heating, just the heating of the ocean, which is happening, has happened, will happen, means that in the lifetime of today's kids, it's going to be a foot or two higher. If there's a significant melting on land of glaciers and ice caps, it could be much more than that. So changing the language is just the special interests way of trying to change the argument and overpower the opposition. It's what happened with tobacco. The tobacco companies tried to change the language about cancer. They set up a tobacco institute as if it was somehow based in science, and all it was marketing. 4 out of 5 doctors smoke our cigarettes or recommend our cigarettes, crap like that. And it was clearly that kind of disinformation that the tobacco industry used to sow doubt about the science.
The House where you serve, recently voted. The House
I was just going to say,
against,
and then Rachel Carson and the pesticide interests, and on and on. Yes.
The House recently voted against National Science Foundation funding for political science in a vote that kind of disturbed me. It was an amendment from Representative Jeff Flake, and it didn't take away the funding. It just said the National Science Foundation could no longer use its funding to fund political science. In part, Representative Flake said because the funding was used to conduct research on climate change. That kind of sort of very subtle and very specific interference with scientific judgments really worried me as a precedent. Am I right to be concerned, or is this not a big deal?
You're absolutely right to be concerned. What we were talking about with climate change and with tobacco and big developers against the Endangered Species Act and big agribusiness against nutrition science, that's the old style, long-lasting confrontation science, trying to overpower the science. What you're talking about is a more insidious problem that strikes at the very method of science. And, science is really valuable. It is really valuable for moving knowledge toward more factual understanding. And this is not of interest just to people who wear lab coats or techno geeks. Anybody who cares about the air their children breathe, or the water they drink, or the nutrition in our lives, or the education of children with special needs. Anybody who would want policy based on, as much as possible, on fact, on evidence, should care about this. And if you start messing with the peer review process, as has happened with legislation before Congress, if you start messing with what kinds of research the National Science Foundation can do, what you're referring to, and you wrote a very good piece about it a month or so ago, is if politicians direct the National Science Foundation about what is the value of the research or what kind of research can be done, it strikes at the very heart of the method that leads us to this better understanding.
We'll have to leave it there, but I'd like to talk about this another day. Rush Holt, Democrat Congressman from New Jersey and physicist and scientist. We're grateful for your time tonight. Thank you.